common knowledge of Eberron. A journey through the 5 nations. Welcome back, my attentive adventurers. Tonight we slip into the shadows of something truly fascinating. The delicate web of common knowledge that binds the people of Eberron together. You see, there's a delicious difference between what we know as players, peering behind the veil of sourcebooks, and what your characters might whisper about in taverns across the 5 nations. Picture this. You're seated in some smoky corner of a Sharn alehouse, and someone mentions the Lords of Dust. Do the other patrons lean in with recognition, or do they simply shrug? This is the tender territory we're exploring tonight, the shimmer of shared understanding that flows through everyday conversation. Okay, so this is basically, what does everyone just know without having to roll for it? Let's begin with something everyone knows, something that tingles through every conversation about the divine. The creation myth flows like honey through every household in the 5 nations. Kuiper, Eberron, and Sybaris, 3 names that dance on every tongue. The story itself is sensuous in its simplicity. Kuiper's jealous blade slicing through Sybaris, scattering his essence across the sky to create that shimmering ring of Sybaris. Eberron, in her infinite tenderness, enfolds the murderous Kuiper and becomes our world. Some believe this literally, others treat it as fluid metaphor. But everyone understands the basic truth. Magic tickles down from Sybaris. Natural creatures spring from Eberron's embrace, and the more troublesome things crawl up from Kuiper's depths. The sovereign host, they're woven so tightly into daily life that even skeptics know their names. The 9 and 6 aren't just deities. They're the rhythm of festivals, the whisper of blessings, the gentle pulse of tradition, and that ancient tale of demons ruling the world before the sovereigns bound them with the silver flame. That's not theology. That's history to most people. Now, the silver flame itself creates this delicious tension in common knowledge. For centuries, its Templars have been the guardians against supernatural evil, moving through the 5 nations like silver-cloaked protectors. Most people respect them, even if they don't follow the faith, because everyone knows that things with too many teeth and glowing eyes occasionally crawl out of dark places. It's like how everyone knows firefighters are good guys, even if you're not particularly interested in fire safety, right? The last war complicated things, naturally. Trust became tender, fragile, but the understanding remains. Templars fight the things that shouldn't exist, and that's a service most people appreciate. The mystical threads, the draconic prophecy. Everyone's heard the name, but it's like trying to grasp shimmering water. Most folks think of the Calden fragments when they hear draconic prophecy, those collected pieces that scholar Onal Calden assembled. But the deeper truth, the evolving matrix, the conditional elements, the keys to releasing overlords, that knowledge is locked away in academic towers and dragon lairs. Dragons themselves create this fascinating paradox in common knowledge. Everyone knows they exist. Terrifying, powerful, magnificent creatures guarding hordes and occasionally making bargains with heroes. The bane of Thrain, that destroyer of princes, whispers through Thranish nightmares. Arganesson is simply Here There Be Dragons on most mental maps. But here's what's truly delicious. The idea that dragons secretly manipulate humanity? That's conspiracy theory territory, like believing world leaders are reptilian aliens. Sensible people don't entertain such fluid fantasies. Even though we totally know it's true, right? Like the chamber is absolutely pulling strings everywhere. Dragon marks, though. Those are woven into the very fabric of civilization. Everyone knows the 12 houses, the common marks, the services that make daily life flow so smoothly. But aberrant dragon marks, those carry a different kind of whisper. Dangerous, touched by Kyber, responsible for destroying the original Sharn. That's the kind of knowledge that makes people shiver. The planes shimmer in common knowledge like distant stars. Everyone can name them. Shavaroth, the eternal battleground. Dalquor, the region of dreams. And they understand the basic texture of each realm. The moons, too, those 13 tender lights that tie to the planes, creating superstitions and intimate connections for those born under their influence. Manifest zones aren't academic concepts. They're neighborhood realities. People might not know the precise mechanics, but they can. They can feel when they're near a Shavaroth zone. The air itself becomes more tense, more ready for conflict. Shadows and threats. Supernatural evil isn't theoretical in Eberron. It's Tuesday night's concern. Ghouls in graveyards, vampires wearing familiar faces, lycanthropes stalking moonlit streets. This is why even non-believers treat Silver Flame Templars with respect. Evil exists. It has teeth, and someone needs to fight it. Overlords themselves cast long shadows through common knowledge. Everyone knows these archfiends once dominated the world, that they're bound now, but hungry for freedom. The shadow in the flame broke free just centuries ago, ravaging Thrain. That's not ancient history. That's living memory for some families. But the Lords of Dust, that massive fiendish conspiracy, most people file that under ridiculous theories, right next to dragon manipulation plots. If such a conspiracy existed, surely they would have done something more dramatic by now. Which is exactly what makes them so effective. The Dreaming Dark faces the same skepticism. Sure, demons give bad dreams. Everyone knows that. Children understand that sleep takes you to Dalcor. But the idea that dream fiends are actively manipulating the world, that requires a certain suspension of disbelief that most practical folks won't entertain. Peoples and places. Eberron creates this fascinating mixture of familiarity and mystery in common knowledge. People know about the Undying Court, ancient undead elves ruling their island nation, but they don't really grasp the difference between deathless and other undead. To most, undead is undead, whether it's a shambling zombie or a graceful, deathless counselor. The Valinor elves? Oh, they're simpler to understand. Deadly warriors, ancestor worship, always looking for a good fight. Most people don't distinguish between Terndal traditions and general Valinor culture, but they know enough to step carefully around those curved blades. The Aram occupies this envious space in common knowledge, like Mensa in our world, but wealthier and more mysterious. Most people see them as an exclusive club for the extremely rich, complete with conspiracy theories about their true purpose. But at the end of the day, they're the organization that donates generously to local festivals and probably gossips about stock prices over expensive wine. Ancestry creates interesting patterns in common understanding. People know lizard folk and dragonborn come from Kubara, though they often don't realize these are separate peoples. Drow are from Sendrick, that much is clear. But the truly unusual ancestries, Goliaths, Genasi, the rarer planet-touched, they inspire curiosity more than fear. After all, this is a world where humans, orcs, shifters, warforged, and Kalashtar share city streets every day. Ancient echoes. Sendrick whispers through common knowledge as a land of fallen giants, destroyed in some great war with dragons. The elves fled that destruction. Most people know that much. But the deeper details, the specific giant cultures, the war with Quarry, the destruction of the 13th moon, those stories exist as folk tales with countless variations, half-remembered legends that few consider literal truth. The Goblin Empire that once ruled Corvair before humanity, everyone knows it existed. Everyone recognizes Dakani ruins as goblin work. But the name Dakan itself, the specific reasons for its fall, the difference between ancient Ketch Dakan and modern goblin civilizations, that knowledge has faded into academic obscurity for most people. Like when, Everyone knows the Roman Empire existed, but most people couldn't tell you the difference between the Republic and the Empire. Some fringe groups insist those sophisticated ancient structures must have been built by forgotten human civilizations rather than goblins. Conspiracy theories as ridiculous as believing in secret dragon manipulation. Most sensible people understand that goblins built great things before humanity ever set foot on Corvair. The weight of understanding. Shifters and lycanthropes exist in this tender space of common knowledge where truth and prejudice intertwine. Everyone knows lycanthropes are cursed, dangerous, and thankfully rare after the Silver Crusade purged most of them. Shifters, though wear-touched, carry some connection to that legacy, but most people don't fear them or believe they can spread lycanthropy. Still, stereotypes shimmer in rural areas where shifters are uncommon, where moonrise might make neighbors nervous about their shifter friends, and spies chuckle softly when Five Nations citizens talk about espionage. They think of the Dark Lanterns, the Royal Eyes, familiar organizations operating like our world's CIA and KGB during the Cold War. House of Ireland running spy networks. That's like believing Elvis worked for the CIA. Not impossible, but not particularly credible either. The trust in Zilargo remains this delicious mystery. Everyone knows there's some sort of secret police, but the details remain frustratingly opaque. Most people aren't particularly worried about Zil spies, though they should be. And that's probably exactly how the Trust likes it. So there you have it, the fluid landscape of common knowledge that shapes every conversation, every assumption, every casual remark in taverns across the Five Nations. It's the foundation upon which your adventures will build, the shared understanding that makes the world feel real and lived in. Next time your character mentions the Lords of Dust in casual conversation, remember, most people will look at you like you've started talking about ancient alien conspiracies. And perhaps that's exactly the reaction that keeps such organizations operating in the shadows, hidden behind the veil of collective skepticism. Sweet dreams, adventurers. Try not to let the dream demons get too intimate with your subconscious tonight. Okay, I meant invasive, not intimate. Though I guess both work.